This concept isn't new. Pope St. John Paul II devoted more than 100 weekly talks from 1979 to 1984, reflecting on the meaning of the human body, sexual desire, and the sacrament of marriage. Those teachings came to be called the Theology of the Body. At their heart, they help us to see our bodies as gifts and the interconnected beauty of the human person, the Catholic understanding of human sexuality, and the sacrament of marriage. Jason Evert, co-founder of the Chastity Project, host of the Lust is Boring podcast, and international Catholic speaker, is here to tell us about his newly updated Theology of the Body program called Envision. I've got the books for Theology of the Body Envision program right here. They are comprehensive. Tell us more about it, Jason.
Yeah, well, we initially created a program for high school kids called Theology Body for Teens, and then years later came out with one for middle school students. But about 10 years has passed since then, and you might have noticed a few things have changed in culture in the last decade. And so we thought, okay, we probably need to update this for the sake of the kids, also for the parents and the educators. So what we did is completely revamped the entire program to take John Paul's timeless wisdom of the theology of the body and bring it down to the level that a 6th, 7th, or 8th grade kid could really take advantage of to find what God's plan is for their life.
Now, Jason, you've been doing this for a long time. How do students react to this content?
They're unbelievably receptive to it. Like, people think we have a hard job selling chastity and theology body to teenagers, but that's like thinking you'd have a hard job giving away filet mignons in a homeless shelter. And what I mean by that is that they're starving for this. Their hearts are made for love, their minds are made for the truth, and theology body just kind of gives them both at the same time. So it's John Paul's approach. It isn't just this, heavy-handed litany of regulations and rules. It more argues from the inside out, like, what is it you really long for? And it isn't just like Catholic sex ed. The theology body is, who am I? And how should I live? And so it unpacks that in a way that really is applicable to a junior high kid and all the stuff they're facing today.
Right, as they're searching for identity and trying to figure out who they are and how that applies to the rest of their lives. Are you only in Catholic schools?
Predominantly in Catholic schools, because sometimes when people hear, oh, Pope this or Saint that, they're not as interested. Now, I do chastity talks in public schools, and I did a chastity talk at a Catholic school in England that was 95% Muslim, which was interesting.
Wow.
But this curriculum is intended for the Catholic schools, the parishes, homeschooled, and one of the things that I really like about it is, as you know, junior high kids are all over the map. So there's some 6th grade homeschool kids where some of these sensitive subjects are not even on the radar. Then there's 8th grade kids in some schools that really could have used this thing years ago. So how do we present one body of content to kids for which it might not be age appropriate? The sensitive stuff we put kind of in an appendix in the videos. So if your kids need to hear this, play that video. But if they don't need to hear it, and it's just going to introduce moral questions that aren't on the radar, you don't have to show it. And that way, whether they're homeschooled in 6th grade or in a tough situation, getting ready to go into high school, we've got the content built into the program. Now,
what you're talking about there really is that accompaniment and that discernment that only a parent can do, that knows their child so well. Why is it so important for them, the children, to hear the truth from their parents instead of letting their peers and the culture distort the truth?
Yeah, well, parents aren't just the primary sex educators of the kids. Parents are the primary evangelists of the kids. And so they need to hear it from the parents and, most importantly, see it in the parents. So our kids won't always obey us, but they'll never fail to imitate us, which means if I want my kids to obey the church's teachings on sexuality and chastity, I should probably live that out myself. And then they're more likely to catch it, because all the virtues, whether it's courage or honesty, are more easily caught than they are taught. And so we need to model these things as parents and then speak.
Now, Jason, you recently spoke at the National Eucharistic Congress. We were together there, and you discussed the differences between sexes. Let's take a quick listen.
You have to speak 8 decibels louder for the male brain to register speech at the same level the female brain will register speech. Our ears are different. Our eyes are different. Women can actually see shades of color that are indistinguishable to men. Look at the beauty of the difference.
I love that. We seem to have lost the beauty of our differences between men and women. How do we recover this celebration of our differences? And is this one of the biggest challenges you face today in the classroom? That's a mixed classroom.
Yeah, well, I do find they do learn differently. I think if you want a woman to really listen and absorb what you're saying, you need to make her feel understood. If you want a man to kind of respond, I think you need to make him feel needed for a task. And so for so many years, we've looked at our male-female differences through almost like a Marxist lens of competition, and we need to erase the differences so that we can be one. It's like, no, no, no. Our differences don't reveal some battle of the sexes, tit for tat competition. It reveals complementarity. And this is baked into the theology of the body, that in your body is stamped your call to love, because you are created to make a gift of yourself. It is undeniable. It's stamped into our bodies. And so God has kind of placed within us his call of who we are and how we should live.
Absolutely unrepeatable. Jason, well, you are unrepeatable. Thank you so much for what you're doing. We're so grateful for you.
Keep up the great work.